When you are settling down to watch a film at the cinema or at home, one of the first things that catches your eye is the production company logo, and oftentimes this logo comes with some predetermined expectations. Certain film studios you just know what you're going to get. Disney, some wholesome family fun; Blumhouse, some spine-chilling horror; A24, some serious drama; Browsers, a spot of hardcore porn; Marvel, some superhero action; and the Weinstein Company, a court case, and so on. But there was one logo that as soon as you seen it connect to form the symbol for Cannon Films, you knew that you were in for an amazingly bad good time. Cannon Films produce some of the best bad movies of all time, and one of their most well-known and loved titles is a little film called Bloodsport.
Where every fighting style, every worthy opponent, every deadly technique clash in savage combat.
Time to separate the men from the boys.
And only one will triumph. Now I will break you. International martial arts sensation Jean Claude Van Damme in Bloodsport.
Bloodsport is a 1988 martial arts action movie film about a group of highly skilled fighters who travel to Hong Kong to take part in a secret fighting tournament called the Kumite to bust each other's heads in. Think of a cheaper, more B-movie Enter the Dragon. It's supposedly based off the real-life exploits of martial artist and self-professed action hero Frank Dukes. Frank is played by none other than the muscles from Brussels himself, Jean Claude Van Damme, in his first ever leading role. At the beginning of the film, we find Dukes working up a sweat when he's asked to report to his commanding officer, who isn't happy that he's heading to Hong Kong for the tournament. Like any lad after a one-night stand, Frank slips away after pulling the whole "I need a shower" line. Yeah, I'm sure that won't come back to bite him in the ass later. Having gone AWOL from his unit, Frank decides to go to visit the home of his sensei Tanaka, and upon laying his eyes on the sword, Frank experiences the longest flashback in film history. Frank was a bad lad as a kid and broke into Tanaka's home to steal his sword, but after getting bushed by Tanaka's son and not flinching when his hat gets cut in half, the two of them make a deal.
You're not gonna call the cops?
Not if we make a deal.
What kind of a deal?
I feel like I've heard this type of dialogue somewhere before. Ah, there we go, now it makes sense. Frank agrees to train alongside Tanaka and his son, but he's more of a punching bag than anything. It's years later and Tanaka's son has passed away. With no family left, he has no one to pass on his teachings to. But we need a plot, so Frank steps up to the plate and wants to prove he is worthy of Mr. T's teachings. Oh, you best believe a montage is about to happen. Frank's training consists of him not being able to hit Mr. T for the life of him, while also getting the shite kicked out of him, a spot of fishing, his legs nearly getting pulled off, and the always important blindfolded T defense. With his training finally done and dusted, this flashback can finally come to an end. Now I know that seemed quick, but in the actual film this flashback sequence is a whole 11 minutes and 23 seconds long, but it feels like it's a feckin' half hour. Back in the present, Mr. T is being a lazy shite and doesn't want to get out of bed. So Frank tells him he's going to Hong Kong to take part in the secret Kumite to represent the Tanaka clan. Mr. T gives him his blessing and we're off to Hong Kong. While in Hong Kong, Frank crosses paths with this absolute unit called Ray Jackson, another American fighter in the Kumite, and the two form a bond after playing some video games.
Not bad, kid. Name's Ray Jackson.
I'm Frank Dukes.
Meanwhile, back stateside, a couple of military agents come looking for Frank. Forrest Whitaker, what the fuck are you doing in this? Mrs. T tells them that she doesn't have a clue where Frank is and to feck off away with them. But back over in Hong Kong, new besties Frank and Jackson go to check out the tournament grounds. But the lads don't like the head on Frank.
You don't look like Tanaka.
They don't believe he represents Mr. T's family, so in order to prove himself, they have to give him a bit of a test. Frank is to demonstrate the lethal death touch on some unfortunate bricks, but with a twist.
Go! Bottom one.
How in the name of fuck is he meant to burst the bottom one? I guess we're about to find out. Those bricks are #dushed. Everyone is impressed with Frank's brick breaking technique. Well, almost everyone.
Very good. But brick not hit back.
I'm not so sure about that. Back in the hotel, Janice, a reporter for the local news, is trying to get the scoop on the Kumite, but all the lads want is a bit of her. Frank steps in to save her from this creeper. He makes a bet with him that he can replace the coin in his hand before he closes it.
Ready?
Go. Ha! You lose, American asshole.
Fuck! That was some trick!
Illusion, Michael. Trick is something a whore does for money.
Frank claims his prize and takes a walk with Janice to get to know her more. Yeah, they're totally going to bang later on in the film. It's the next morning and Jackson checks in on Frank before the tournament, only to find him in a bit of a compromising position.
That hurts me just looking at it.
You don't know the half of it, Jackson.
I can't be like a...
The tournament gets underway and we get to see some of the competitors in action. The first one of our boys that's up is Jackson, and he baits the face off his opponent and wins his round. But Jackson is nothing compared to our next contestant. This walking pectoral muscle is our villain, Chong Li. He's a bad lad who wants to kick some ass and isn't happy about Frank and Jackson being in the tournament. Lee makes quick work of his opponent and sets a new world record. But Frank says fuck that and breaks Lee's record a minute later, much to Jackson's amazement.
First fight in the Kumite, he broke the fucking world record! Yeah!
The tournament continues and our boys start making their way through the ranks. But later on, while having a bit of a break, the military agents catch up with Frank and he leads them on a Scooby-Doo-like chase around Hong Kong. He's not leaving the place until he's bushed enough heads to win the Kumite. That night, Frank takes Janice out for a bit of dinner, and what did I say would happen earlier? That's right, a spatter riding. Janice wakes up and gets a look at Frank's assets.
That's America's ass.
It's day 2 of the tournament and our boys are bushed in even more heads as they advance further up the ranks. But unfortunately for them, so is that bastard Chong Li. Frank comes up against his toughest opponent yet as he faces off against E. Honda from Street Fighter. But don't you worry, because he knows this giant's weakness. Hashtag balls bushed. It's the quarterfinals and it's Jackson versus Lee. And wouldn't you know it, Jackson starts off this fight pretty good. He's doing pretty good here. He's getting in some solid hits and it looks like he has Lee on the ropes. Jackson, you mad bastard, what are you at? Go back and push him. Oh no, oh Jesus Christ. If it wasn't bad enough that his face was caved in, Chong Li adds insult to injury by taking Jackson's headband. With Jackson bushed and in the hospital, Frank takes to the rooftops of Hong Kong to clear his mind for the fights to come. But unfortunately for Frank, the agents catch up with him on his way to the finals, but after channeling his inner Captain America, they have no choice but to let him fight. Frank lets out all his frustrations on this lad in the semi-finals by kicking his face in. But in the other semi-final, Lee takes it too far and murders his opponent. But he doesn't give two fucks because all he wants to do is break Frank's face in.
You are next.
So 'tis the finals and Frank comes out swinging. He's determined to beat Lee for everyone he's hurt. He starts off strong, hitting a Hardy Boys poetry in motion with an assist from the ref. From there, Frank unloads on Chong, battering the fuck out of him. It looks like Frank's got this in the bag and will win the tournament in no time. But wait, that sneaky bastard Chong Li has an ace up his sleeve, or should I say down his pants. Feckin' salt! Who throws salt in someone's eyes during a fight, you dirty bastard! With Frank blinded, Chong Li goes to town on him. It's not looking good for our boy Frankie. Frank lashes out in frustration, screaming like a mad yoke. But he soon calms down and begins to remember all his sensei taught him. Frank goes full daredevil on Chong Li and using his whirlybird leg attack to knock Lee back before finishing him off with a kick so hard it causes Lee to get stuck in a time loop and get hit by the same kick 4 times. Seriously, do we really need to see this kick so many times? I mean, it's amazing and all, but once would have done. Hashtag bushed. Frank reclaims Jackson's headband and is declared the winner of the tournament. Back at the hospital, Jackson's doctors have prescribed him a crate of beer to heal his head wound. He's pumped to hear that Frank bushed Chong Li, but he wants the first title shot.
But don't you get too cocky, because you might have to go up against me next time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that won't be a problem. Frank gives Jackson back his headband and the two bond like real men.
Anytime, any place, anywhere, if you ever need me, I'll be there.
I love you, my friend.
Now, when I went to rewatch this clip on YouTube, someone had re-uploaded the said scene as Bloodsport, badly acted gay scene. Can I just say there's nothing remotely bad about the acting in this scene?
Take care.
Frank reunites with the two agents and says good luck to Janice before departing for America, and our movie film is dushed. But not before telling us all the amazing things the real Frank Dukes accomplished in his life. Yeah, so a little bit about the real Frank Dukes. While indeed a martial artist, reportedly Frank is also a bit of a fibber, and a lot of his stories are made up or just total nonsense. So all of these accomplishments could be a load of crap, but it sure does make him seem like the badass he thinks he is. So is Bloodsport a good film? Yes and no. As a piece of cinema and storytelling, it's fairly weak and filled with wooden acting, overly long scenes, and a paper-thin story throughout. But as a form of pure entertainment, it's gold. The terrible acting and odd filmmaking choices makes the film so much fun to watch, and even for his first film you can tell Van Damme has something about him. But the real MVP of the film is Donald Glib as Jackson, who steals every scene he's in. I still have no idea how Jackson got into the tournament, but thank God he did. It's a film I highly recommend buying or streaming one night with a bunch of friends to stick on and have a laugh with. And full disclosure here, I've seen this movie film at least 20 times, but this was the first time in years I've watched it without a few friends and a couple of beers. Okay, a lot of beers, and while it's not the B-movie masterpiece my drunk self always claimed it to be, it's still a film that is worth watching, even if it just takes you back to a simpler time when all that was needed was a lad who knew how to kick some ass and a bitchin' 80s soundtrack. I give Bloodsport 7 out of 10 Horshes.